Live from the virtual Watkins Glen International Raceway in Watkins Glen, New York. Welcome, sim racing fans, to the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship live on Apex Racing TV. Happy that you can join us on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Alongside with me in the commentary box is Alessandro Dalladone with Marco Barbanera down in the production trailer. And we're back in the Porsches here. Alessandro, this series began with such a boom at Long Beach, and we've, throughout the rounds, have had more and more action start to build up. We're getting close to that championship. 5 rounds down, 4 rounds to go. What are you expecting as we get back to racing now in the final half of the season?
Well, Josh, it's been a long championship, but I expect always the same from the drivers. Very close and tight racing. Even if the Porsche Cup car got some minor adjustments for this season bid, I think the car will be more or less as the season before. I expect something different maybe from the start, though. I have heard the start procedure has been changed a little bit compared to the last few weeks.
And taking a look at the points as well, starting to show who the championship favorites are. Kamil Grabowski comes in with the overall points lead and the points lead of the pro category with 521. Not so far behind is Pascal Costa and Josh Cam, but still a long way to go for them. It is only about a 1 race difference between Costa and Grabowski if either of them make a mistake, but Josh Cam a little bit further back. He's going to need at least 2 rounds to gain that points lead if Grabowski has 2 bad rounds. But overall, looking down the rest of the order in the pro class, it's just looking like battles between different pro drivers for positions further down. Those top 3 really now are the favorites of the championship, and really the only 3 with the opportunity to win the pro class championship. Moving over to the AM class, a little bit closer there, as we have only about a 20-point difference between Leon Erger and Kev Copeland battling for the championship in the AM class. Michael Fang a little bit further back. He's still a little bit in the running. Jack Knight, Dane Baird, 6 points separating those two. They're battling for the 4th spot. The 2 teammates from Caro's competition battling for 4th in the AM class points. And down the rest of the order, some other close battles that we're continuing to watch as that championship will be fizzled out. The remainder of the schedule also very unique. 4 rounds to go, including round number 6 here at Watkins Glen. Then we head to Circuit of the Americas, Road America, and then Virginia International Raceway, finishing off the year in the United States with one F1 circuit, a famous IndyCar circuit, and then a circuit that is known for a multitude of racing, as well as test sessions for NASCAR and other types of motorsports. So a lot of great action coming up in the next couple of rounds. And Alessandro, these drivers are going to need to tame a variety of racetracks if they're going to want to walk away with the championship.
Indeed, we've seen all season long very different racetracks. We've been to Long Beach, then back to big tracks like Suzuka, and then Montreal, who is a kind of hybrid track between street racing and normal layouts. And I'm sure that also these last 4 rounds will be very, very interesting indeed. Having such a beautiful track like Virginia is so nice. It's a track that, in my opinion, is very, very underrated here on the service. Not a lot of people like it, but it's definitely a very challenging track. One of the most challenging tracks for the flow and the elevation changes. You need to be very, very precise.
And taking a look currently at the times on the leaderboard, Luke Maxwell, what a lap for him in the 288 for OLF Racing. He sits currently 6th overall, the only AM class driver to punch that far up into the pro category. And there's a couple of them as well. Fang, Knight, Bigadike now all punching their way into the pro category as far as the lap times on the leaderboard goes, but nobody able to catch Christopher Kochenek just yet for Ebony and Ivory. McMadsen getting close, Christensen, Costa, Ward, your top 5. Looking down the order, Kamil Grabowski yet to not get a lap time. Same thing with Josh Cam.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy to get a lap in without having to deal with traffic with 35 cars on track. So some drivers will have to gather up a very nice lap in these final few minutes. It's definitely a different order we are used to see in qualifying, Josh, so far, with Kochanek, Madsen, Costa, Christiansen and Ward up top.
Continuing on with qualifying, nearing about 2 minutes to go here in qualifying. You can see a couple more drivers making their way onto the track for an out lap to get one final run at trying to grab that pole. Bit of a stretch of lap times. Just taking a look down the leaderboard, a 1:53.81, the current fastest from Kochanek, and it's about a 2-second difference between him and Peter Mackay. You can see there on the timing tower in 27th, and even up front, top 5 separated by about 4.5 tenths. So lap time's not exactly close. We're seeing some fast guys start to peek their way up through in that live gap of the lap times. It's a bit of a spread when it comes to speed. We might be seeing some drivers pull away like we're usually not used to seeing in these Porsches. Usually it's a lot of people close together as Paul Doman for Lesson Racing gets loose coming up the S's.
Yeah, very tricky spot. He did a good job avoiding any contact with the wall. Hopefully we won't see trouble in the opening lap here, because it's very easy to have a huge one if something happens. I wanted also to add, Josh, that we have multiple drivers that will have to start one race from pit road, and among them we have Kamil Gabowski, Nils Langeveld. These guys fighting for big wreck here for Nick Madsen, trying to improve his lap time. So these drivers will not qualify, or if they do, they will occur in a penalty post-race, and start from pit road.
Taking a look at Max Kessler for Impulse Racing, 10th currently in the pro class, 12th overall, looking for an improvement on his 151.11. That sits him about 8 tenths back from your current leader, Nick Rowland, for Satellite Racing. He was able to best Kochanek by about a tenth, 152.73. Kessler not going to improve soon. He's not going to improve at all. 153.284, slower than his first lap. He'll tow his way back to pit road. Luke Maxwell for OLF Racing. This is your fastest driver currently in the AM class. 8th currently in the overall and in the pro category. He's punched his way up into those pro drivers, and there goes the checkered flag. Everybody off the racetrack. It's time to take a look at the starting grid for today's race number 1 from Watkins Glen. Nick Rowland on the pole, Christopher Kochanek in 2nd, Nick Madsen 3rd, Pascal Costa 4th, Roger Christensen rounds out your top 5. Then it's Lewis Ward, Josh Cam, Luke Maxwell starts on the pole for the AM category, and then Salvatore Larnay and Dominic Foster will round out your top 10 overall. Michael Fang with a good qualifying effort, about 7.5 tenths back from the lead. He'll start 2nd in the AM class. 3rd in AM class is Jack Knight. 4th is John Hopkinson, with David Bigadike starting 5th in the AM category. Rest of the starting grid going to scroll across your screen. Alessandro, we seeing some great AM class drivers punching their way up into the pro class in terms of times on the leaderboard. Are you expecting maybe a surprise finish from one of these AM class drivers in the overall finishing order?
Well, definitely qualifying has been very, very good for some of the AM drivers. So I expect some of them trying to get a top 10 or even better if something happens to the drivers in front. It's also very important to remember that we have an inverted grid for the second race of the day, which for this round will be capped at 20. So 20th place car, right now Copeland after qualifying, will be our pole sitter for race 2.
Getting ready to go green here for race number 1. Remember, 2 races here in the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. Then, of course, the second one will have that inverse number and inverse the grid from that number. Just taking a look at the drivers that will grab a pit lane start. Damian Harris, Martin Spalik, Camille Grabowski with a pit lane start. That's why he didn't put in any time. Niels Glandeveld, Peter Wadsworth, Austin Foster, Dennis Meisner. 2 pit lane starts today for David Plasman. As the lights will go out, we're underway from Watkins Glen. The field dives their way into turn number 1. Roland leads them in. Kochanek falling back on the outside line. Here comes Pascal Costa to the inside, looking for the spot. He's not going to grab it. Kochanek stays in second. Costa falls to third. It's Madsen and Ward rounding out your top 5s to make their way through the S's and up the hill for the first time.
Yeah, great start by these guys. A place for Costa on Madsen. Everything clear through the S's, which has always been a very big trouble spot. And now onto the bus stop here, side by side between Roland and Kochanek. Kochanek has to take the grass on the inside. Ooh, almost contact with Madsen, but they make it through.
Now through the carousel for the first time. 2 wide going through here. About to go 3 wide, it looks like, as they make their way now into the boot. 2 wide battle up ahead. That's Christensen and Kochanek. 1 car goes off the track. That's Madsen into the wall. Locks it up coming into the bus stop.
A big mistake. This is going to be very costly. He's now dropping down and the car has heavy damage on the right side. Let's see if he can actually keep up with the other drivers. You see,
1 car pushed off track. That was Andrew Brown for Grip TV.
3 wide. Usually doesn't end up really well. Madsen still with a lockup.
Oh, multiple cars off track now. Impulse Racing driver. That's Max Kessler off. 1 car way off track. That's the 268. That's Luke Maxwell for OLF.
Yeah, he was our AM leader. He was really fast in qualifying, but now finding himself in the gravel on lap 1. That's not how you want to start your evening. Michael Feng now will inherit P1 in the AM class in 9th place. A big gap for him on the other drivers.
156.502 put in for Nick Rowland, ahead of Pascal Costa by about 1.5 seconds now. Rowland looking to pull away as he heads up the hill through the S's for lap number 2. Only 20 minutes into this race. 1 car into the wall. That's John Hopkinson. More involved, more flipping as they come across. That's Bradley Holst.
Bradley Holst, very unfortunate. We will see the replay in a moment, but that looked like a typical Watkins Glen accident, with the car in front losing the back and Bradley Holst hitting first someone in the rear and then getting collected by someone behind him. Very unfortunate, because if you go badly in race 1 you crash or have issues. Also race 2 will be influenced because you start all the way at the back.
And John Hopkinson got turned, and you can see just that quick braking from the cars in front of him led to that incident for Holst, making his way up the S's. Back up front, steer leader Nick Rowland. Costa starting to make that gap a little bit shorter, still about 1.3 seconds. Is your AM class leader, Michael Fang. He's looking up forward to Dominic Foster, trying to etch his way further up into the overall standings. Second place in the AM class, still about 3 seconds back. And that is Jack Knight, sitting 13th overall. Weather today here in Watkins Glen, 93-degree track temp. That's a fairly high track temp, especially for northern New York, 86 degrees Fahrenheit today. April 1st in the sim, late evening sim time as well. So still a pretty hot track temperature of 93 degrees. These drivers are going to be slipping around, fighting for grip all day.
Yeah, especially in race 2 with a race of 30 minutes. It's going to be very interesting to see how the car will react as someone's in front is locking up the tires. Langeveld trying to make up a few positions after starting all the way from pit road. Right in front of him you can also see in 27th place Kamil Grabowski. He also started from pit road, so they aim to get that P20, which is our invert number for race 2. So whoever will get a 20th place tonight, race 1, will be our pole sitter later in the day.
And that currently is Lucas Deering for T3 Esports, running 20th overall. Pass up the inside. That's Tor Bervin for Team Vikings Ragnarok, passing Andrew Brown in that Grip TV number 28. You can see behind him Jack Knight, second place in the AM class as well, as we're taking a look back from the gearbox of Bervin. On the Brown and Knight behind him. Then it's a bit of a scramble back there between Bob Humphrey and Thomas Grendel.
One thing I'd like to point out in this moment of the race is the fact that Michael Fang is definitely doing a great job holding up in 9th place with all these drivers that on paper are stronger than him. And the difference also between him and Kevin Copeland and Leon Erger, who are, in my opinion, the two contenders for the amateur championship, is definitely showing that Michael has a lot of speed, but has been quite unlucky in the opening 5 rounds of this Porsche Cup.
Not exactly the best day to start for Erger. He runs 4th currently in the AM category, 17th overall. Kev Copeland not doing much better. 3rd in the AM class right now, 16th overall. So Michael Fang, Jack Knight, the only 2 AM class drivers to make their way into that pro category stranglehold up at the top of the racetrack currently. Top 15 as 13 pro drivers, 2 AM drivers. There's Andrew Brown once again. Oh, one car around. That's Lucas Deering for T3 Esports. Around going into the carousel. He's going to fall all the way down to 30th overall as he gets back running.
Car seems to be fine. He was in 20th place when he had this accident. Let's see what happened. Probably a bit loose. You can see the car, yes, moving around quite badly, under braking at the bus stop, and then this is a very difficult spot, Joshua, because you are coming out of the bus stop, which is very, very well known for unsettling any car, and then you have this big right-hander where you have to carry a lot of speed. It's very easy to make a mistake.
Taking a look at Fabian Meyer battling with Dan Parmalee, Max Kessler, and Kamil Grabowski. Current points leader for the pro category is Grabowski. Now, he started in the pit lane after a penalty from the last round in terms of incident points. So he had to start from the pit lane, trying to claw his way back, already up 10 spots from where he originally began, and he is today's biggest mover of the race so far, but he still has a good ways to go. Wondering if he might sacrifice some of that racing here in race number 1 to try and get that 20th place to start on the pole in race 2 for the inverse number.
Oh, I definitely think Kamil Grabowski and also Langer will be able to make their way to these cars and get a few places, as we have a big smoke here. It's Bob Humphrey, this Evo SR Porsche, around in the gravel, taking it's time to enter the track safely, using the grass, not harming any driver coming by. Seems like he might have just lost the car. Car is fine also. He will be able to keep going. Here we are back with our leaders.
Nick Rowland still leads the way. There's Pascal Costa. Now Rowland had a huge lead, and Jack Knight, second in the AM class, now falls down to 6th in the AM class as he goes around in the boot.
Another classic mistake we see here at Watkins Glen with too much master exiting the hairpin, or someone just clipping the grass on the outside. Just a little touch on the grass and it's very easy to turn around, especially with this car which does not have any help, traction control or ABS. Funny thing enough, Joshua, do you know that Porsche Cup Brazil indeed has ABS?
We're not going to get any of that ABS help here, though. More difficult to race these Porsches. But you're seeing some great racing as well, and you can see you're on board right now with Josh Cam. There goes Roger Christensen over to the outside. Quickly going to turn inside, but Kojanek going to keep that spot away from Christensen. Lewis Ward for Team 11 also involved in this fight. So 4 cars all running close together. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th on the racetrack, scrapping each other for positions as we reach a little over halfway done here with race number 1. Checking in with that inverse spot right now belongs to Fabian Meyer for T3 Esports. He sits in 20th, 6th in the AM class. And Nick Rowland still leading the way. Costa in 2nd. And you can see that 4-car battle that we were just watching starting to catch these 2 leaders up in front. As Rowland and Costa now very close together. Question is Costa going to go for a pass or not? As it is halfway done with this race. Remember, the winner of race number 1 will start in 20th in race number 2. He might be trying to improve on that race 2 starting position by not passing him.
Well, I think it's against any competitive race driver, Joshua, to sit down and enjoy second place whenever you have the chance to get a race win. And I think Costa will be definitely looking to get that position very soon. We are already halfway through the race. This race is flying as Roland now has the mirror full of Pascal Costa.
And here they go onto the back straightaway, out of the S's, making their way down towards the bus stop. Costa made a look to the outside, was not able to get there though. Not enough speed, and Rowland closed the door. So they make their way out of the bus stop into the carousel. They'll go back through the boot. Will Costa have anywhere to make that pass? Alessandro, this track has a lot of tight corners, but also a lot of sweeping high-speed corners as well. What are the best passing opportunities, in your opinion, around this racetrack that Costa might be able to use to get around Rowland for the lead?
Well, definitely the bus stop is a very, very good passing spot, but also the corner we are approaching now after this tricky hairpin. If you get a very good exit or the driver in front does not, you can have a very big passing opportunity right here if you are late on the brakes. And also turn 1 is definitely inviting with that big runoff area, some big dives. But I think coming up the hill on the after the S's towards the bus stop is definitely the main passing spot on this track, but you need to be careful because side by side at the bus stop usually it doesn't go very well.
Here they go going side by side. This is Hans Gunnar Hansen versus Andrew Brown, getting a little bit close together. No contact though. Look up the inside. Here comes Tor Bourbon. He had to get out of the gas and onto the brakes to avoid sliding up into the Grit TV car of Andrew Brown. So these guys are going to stay 9th, 10th, and 11th respectively. Hansen versus Brown versus Bourbon as they make their way back through turn number 1. One car around up in front of these guys. Who is that?
That's Bradley Oils. Was already a few laps down after getting the spare car out. But here we have a move for 4th place. Kochnik, Christiansen, Cam all together were not far off in 6th. Side by side between Gunnar and Brown for 10th place, the last spot in the top 10, and still fighting here for the reverse grid pole between Langevel, who made up another position on night. So Langevel is now our provisional race 2 pole sitter.
And Langeveld was another driver who started in the pits along with Grabowski. Grabowski now up to 16th on the racetrack. So that number 195 is very, very quick as he cuts his way through the field. And there's Grabowski now in those Evolve Racing colors, looking to get by David Bigadike for Twin Jet Virtual. they make their way through the bus stop. And you can see one car off track. That's Jack Knight once again. Falls to 26th overall. More damage to that Porsche.
Same spot, but he glanced the wall on the other side of the track this time. With Grabowski making up another position on Bigadike, 16th place now for Grabowski. He will be definitely eager to get even more. He will be in a very good position for race 2 to get some big points, as we see also Madsen making up some ground now, fighting Weaver for 24th place, and Brown and Gunn are still going at
side by side as they make their way up through the S's.
Great battle also for the last spot on the podium, with Kochanek now moving up a pace on Christiansen. These guys are only 3 seconds away from our race leader Nick Roland, but it will take a bit of luck to get any position, as now Christiansen has to defend from Josh Kam, as we have
another car off
Meyer.
track. That's Fabian Meyer for T3 Esports off around in the bus stop. Who else was around there? Ken Copeland around for Evo SR. There was one more in that sand for along with Fabian Meyer. We're back up to the battle for 4th. Josh Camp for Porsche Sport around both Christensen and Ward. He makes his way up into 4th. And up the inside, still that's Roger Christensen going up the inside of Lewis Ward. They're still battling, still almost touching as they make their way into the final corner.
And Ward backs out of it wisely, lets Christiansen slide back in front. They don't want to lose the draft of Josh Kam. Kochanek, look how much Kochanek gained in just 1 lap after making the pass on Christiansen, because these 3 guys were fighting for their position. As now Ward sends the car onto the inside and gets P5. But here we are back with Nick Roland. Costa hasn't yet made a move stick for P1, but he only has 3 minutes, so 2 more laps till we get the checker flag.
Race 1 quickly winding down. Will Costa make the move for the win? Nick Roland still leads the way. And Costa has been there the entire race pretty much. Just right on that back bumper, not making the move. We'll see if he ends up making it for the race 1 victory, or if he's gonna stay where he is in P2. An update from the AM class, Michael Fang about 7 seconds ahead of any AM class driver behind him. Second place is currently Leon Erger for the AM class. Then Bigadike, Baird, and Copeland, the top 5 there. And you can see the gap between Fang and Erger, and even the gap between Erger and Bigadike, very, very big as they continue to race on through race number 1. Less than 2 minutes remain.
Yeah, very interesting to see the gaps between the AM drivers, but remember that the scoring doesn't take only into account the final position within the AM class. Instead, the drivers are classified in overall standings, and then obviously split into Pro and AM. So it's very important to get as many points as possible for any driver, as we are now having the white flag displayed for the drivers. Oh.
Ooh, one car going backwards. That's Lewis Ward for Team 11. Reversed at the pit entry. Taking a look at the replay. He's now down to 16, 17, 18, 19, dropping in overall spots. He gets up on the curb loose and hard into the wall.
That's a pretty big hit. No safer barriers there. He touched the grass and the car absolutely lost control, as Roland has still a few corners to fend off Costa's attacks, but Pascal Costa maybe doesn't really want to risk anything, and will be okay with finishing second, getting some valuable points for the championship, since Grabowski is only 13th, but fair play to him because he started from pit lane, so making up so many spots is very, very important for his title chance.
They will take the checkered flag this time by as the leaders make their way out of the second corner in the in the boots, and they will make their way out of the boot now. Back onto the normal course used in the NASCAR Cup Series. And it looks like Costa's going to stay in second place, not going to go for the move. He has 2 corners left to do it. Right now up front, it's all Nick Rowland. He's led since the outset of race number 1. And it looks like he is going to lead it all the way back to the checkered flag. So winning race number 1 overall and in the pro class is going to be Nick Rowland for Satellite Racing. Impulse Racing's Pascal Costa comes home in second. Coach Annette comes home third. Then it's Cam and Christensen rounding out your top 5 for the pro class. Michael Fang for Team Vikings Brage gonna grab the win for the AM class. Oh, Madsen around and he spins from the transfer spot. Oh, a hard hit as well for Jack Knight up onto his lid.
Well, you hate to see that, but we already seen some not correct rejoins this season, so definitely this will be looked by the stewards. That's not what we want to see. Very unfortunate for Knight, but Nick Madsen was doing a great job, Josh, bouncing after that mistake earlier on, and that rejoin cost him big time and will cost him even more.
So Roland wins. Now in the 20th spot is going to be David Bigadike for Twin Jet Virtual. He's going to end up on the pole for race number 2. 5-minute warm-up getting ready to begin here from Watkins Glen. We're going to take a short break here on Apex Racing TV, but don't go anywhere. 30 minutes of race 2 coming up in the Porsche Cup Championship.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship from the Watkins Glen International Raceway. Race number 1 just concluding here on the racetrack, and a great win coming for Nick Rowland and Satellite Racing. 0.3 of a second over Pascal Costa. Then Kochenek, Cam, and Christensen round out your top 5 of the pro class. Michael Fang, Leon Erger, Dane Baird, Kev Copeland, and rounding out your top 5 for the AM class. There's your top 18 from the race number 1. There we go. Rounding out the top 5 is Thomas Wewire for Privateer. And that is going to be your full results from race number 1. The top 20 inverted into race number 2. So David Bigadyke will end up on the pole, and heartbreak for Peter Mackay as he finishes less than a second back from 20th place to grab that pole in race number 2. But little over halfway done with the 5-minute warm-up. Drivers shaking down their setups one more time, getting used to any changes the track has been undergoing as the sun continues to set around Watkins Glen. More rubber getting laid down onto the racetrack. And Alessandro, we mentioned at the top of the show the small changes that these Porsches went through. The tracks also went through some small changes as well. How big of a difference do you think it's really going to make to the handling of these Porsches, not only just in hot laps, but throughout the course of a run?
Well, it's gonna be interesting. The car, you know, suffers of a lot of tire wear. After a while, it gets very difficult to make a pass, especially when you are fighting someone that has the same pace of you. So it's gonna be very, very important for the drivers that have been up top in race 1 to make up a lot of position, especially in the opening 5 or 6 minutes in the opening laps, and even more, Joshua, to get through the first 2 or 3 laps cleanly without getting involved in any wrecks or avoiding possible wrecks happening in front, because that S is, we've been lucky in race 1, but I always provided a lot of trouble, and with drivers coming through eager to get a lot of positions, and also statistically speaking, race 2 have been always a bit more complicated for the drivers this season. We might see some interesting events coming up.
Warm-up has concluded. Checkered flag is out, and it's time to get started with race number 2. 10 minutes added onto this race, 30 minutes total, as opposed to the 20 from race number 1. David Bigadyke in the inverse number will qualify in first after finishing 20th in race number 1. Time to go racing race number 2 from Watkins Glen. Let's go green! Great start for Bigadyke at the front. He's going to grab the early lead as here comes Copeland looking for the inside of Weir.
Good jump for the drivers in the first few rows as we have someone around in the mid-pack. It's Brown in a Grip TV Porsche. Side by side for the lead between Weir and Bigadyke.
I am not sure how Brown ended up the only car around in that. He spun right in the middle of the pack. But here comes the pack, making their way onto the back straightaway. Thomas Weir now leads with David Bigadyke in second. Side-by-side battle. Here comes Max Kessler up into third with a great pass through the bus stop on Kev Copeland. Dane Baird now going to take over 5th overall. He's got a mirror full of Kamil Grabowski, current points leader in the pro class.
Pascal Costa was involved in the turn 1 tangle because he lost quite a few positions. He's all the way back in 30th place, so he's gonna have a very hard time now. That's what we were saying earlier. They need to be very careful coming through the field, especially in the opening laps, as we still have plenty of side-by-side racing here in the opening lap race.
2 AM class drivers fighting for the lead. Here comes the top of the pro class currently. That's Max Kessler for Impulse Racing. looking to take the lead as he sits right behind both of the AM-Class drivers racing in front of him. 2 more AM-Class drivers behind with Kev Copeland. Then it's Camille Grabowski second in the Pro Class, battling him. Dane Baird and Leon Erger going battling back there. 2 AM-Class drivers as well. Solid, about 10 cars, all within a good about 2 seconds currently on the racetrack, battling for the front spots.
Yeah, great start by Kessler, plus 4 spots in the opening lap, and now looking already to make a move on Bigadike.
Kessler takes the lead. Bigadike to second. Huge scrap going on back here. Salvatore Larney getting by both Josh Kim and Hans-Gunnar Hansen. Cars starting to single file their way out as they make their way up through the S's. There's Pascal Costa, second place currently in the Pro Class point standings.
Oh boy.
Oh, more smoke further back. Anybody around? Doesn't look like it.
It was
one around.
we have some more drama up front.
One car completely misses the bus stop. He'll throw it back to pit lane. That looked like Luke's Maxwell. Look, he's steering slow up on the outside.
Ooh.
One car around going into the boots. He gets it slowed up. Now more cars starting to go around. I believe one of them was Luke Maxwell. That was spinning going through the first corner of the boot. One car off track.
A very eventful second lap of the race as we have 3 wide. And the boys, someone got out of it thankfully, because 2 wide through this section is very tricky. 3 wide doesn't work.
Oh, one car around. That's Thomas Weir. He was running fairly up the pack as well. Spins coming out of the boots. More cars going right on by the 224 at Dane Baird. He's slow on the outside line. Does he have an issue, or is he letting these Pro Class drivers go by? He is very slow on the inside, and he's going into pit lane.
He might have got some damage. I think he got the wall exiting the last corner of the boot. We will see, but definitely a very intense opening laps of these 30 minutes. Remember, 30 minute long race 2, so plenty of time to make up positions, but this boy definitely want to make them all now.
One car slow on the inside. That's still Thomas Weir.
Someone is around.
Car goes around. Some contact, it looks like, with Jack Knight. One car way off track. That's Luke Maxwell. One car slow. That looks to be
behind him.
more cars wrecking. Paul Doman off track. Carnage to begin this race. Not even 5 minutes done. That's Bradley Hulse in the wall.
Very bad night for him. Oh, side by side. Foster and Madsen. Madsen making up already a lot of position. He's all the way up in 12th place now after starting 29th. Great start, profiting from all these drivers ending up in the gravel.
Madsen up the inside of Foster, grabs key number 9 in the Pro Class, 12th overall. You're on board with Max Kessler for Impulse Racing. Camille Grabowski now right behind him in second, looking for the lead here in race 2.
This is a very important race for Camille Grabowski, because after having a very great race in race 1, where he started from pit road and managed to get a very good starting position for this one, limiting the damage on Costa. Now it's Costa that has to come through the field after that early incident and try to not lose as many points as Grabowski did earlier. So big championship implication.
On board with David Bigadike. Oh, one car off track. That's Kev Copeland. He cuts the bus stop. That's going to be a slowdown as he went off track and into the grass. Langevield and Cam behind him. You can see Leon Erger back there as well. And he's going to push Langevield onto the grass. He's going to lose a position maybe to Josh Cam, but Langevild's starting to battle back on the inside.
You could hear from the engine that Kev Copeland was serving his slowdown, trying to slow down everybody else too. And almost the 110 got his rear. It's definitely a very smart move, but you need to be very careful doing that, especially having all these cars behind you. But what a battles we are having here in this mid-pack. The drivers coming through the field after the inverted grid, and AM drivers like Copeland and Bigalike trying to...
Oh, contact between Cam and Langevield. They make more contact, making their way through the penultimate corner. More contact, and around goes Langevield into the wall.
We saw it coming, Josh. This argy-bargy was already going on for multiple corners. That was definitely hard racing, not intentional between the two drivers, but both fighting for the same spot. I think Cam got unsettled by the curb and hit Langevield. Now we'll have to get the spare car out.
Race 1 winner Nick Rowland cutting his way through the field. Kessler battling with Grabowski. You can see Kessler going all the way to the grass to try and protect that inside line through the first corner of the bus stop. Grabowski all over the back bumper of him. 2/10 separate these two. Last lap times 151.32 for Kessler, 151.38 for Kamil Grabowski. Kessler just slightly faster last time by. We'll see if that'll keep up on this lap. As we take a look at Nick Madsen now up into the top 10 as he gets by Hans Gunnar Hansen.
Making up even more positions now. All these drivers are very, very close, but it's not gonna be easy for Madsen to pass them all. It's gonna take a lot of effort and also a lot of tires. Considering this race a bit longer, you would ideally try to save up a little bit your tires for the end. But look at Roland already up into 5th place. Will now try to get Copeland and Bigadike up 15 places from the start.
Ooh, some contact between a couple of these drivers running about mid-pack. We're taking a look on focus on Lewis Ward. He's going to dive it up the inside, and around he goes. He tried to dive it up the inside of, I believe, Dominic Foster, and that did not end well for Ward. He's going to go down to 23rd overall, still falling as he gets going again.
Risk versus reward. He went for the risky move and didn't pay off.
That was Dominic Foster in the 123.
It was a bit optimistic. And around he goes. He did a great job in the opening laps, making all his way to that point, but unfortunately he will have to do it again.
Side by side between Kessler and Grabowski for the lead. A little bit of contact as they make their way into the boot once again. Grabowski outside, Kessler inside. This is the battle for the lead. 10 minutes down, 20 to go in race 2. Side by side, Grabowski gonna have the inside advantage as they make their way through the uphill corner. Not able to clear him yet though. They're still side by side down the straightaway once again. Grabowski will have the inside once more.
Yeah, great racing between these two drivers. Racing aggressively, pushing each other a little bit off in the corners, but they done essentially alpha lap side by side, and now Grabowski managed to move himself up into P1, and I think he will now try to open the gap. He has the pace to do that. He showed it all season long.
Oh, one car around. Peter Mackay around in the boot.
Backing up into the grass as we have still another fight for 5th place between Bigadike and Cam.
Down the front straight away, going side by side. Another pass on Big Dyke from Salvatore Larne. Oh, one car goes way off the racetrack and back on safely. That was Leon Erger going way off track. Oh, spin behind, yes, in turn number 1. That's Thomas Grendel around for Team Vikings Ragnarok.
Very difficult place to rejoin safely when you are facing the inside wall, as you are still side by side with Copeland and Cam. Copeland needs to be very careful because you don't want to jeopardize your effort for your amateur class with a driver who is undoubtedly faster on pace, as Nick Madsen now is looking to make up another spot on Big Dyke, and indeed he does.
Oh, another one around. David Bigadike is around going into the boot.
Was there contact? Let's see the replay.
He has Madsen behind. Let's take a look. Running the outside, gets out of the groove and gets loose and into the wall. Slight damage to that back end, but looks like he's still good to go.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a little lopped up to the wall. He will definitely be fine. As Lewis Ward is dropping the timing tower, so I think it's pretty much a day over for him. Either he had a throughput or he just said, I have enough.
We'll see what happened here, making his way into the boot. Through the corner and gets it spun out and into the wall, and it looks like, yeah, that might have been the classic Alt F4 when you're spinning around, as Marco Barbonero, our producer, said in our ears. So not a good day for Lewis Ward, and it's not going to end well either, as he's going to retire a little less than halfway finished with race number 2. But Grabowski still leads. Max Kessler in second. Roland, Cam, and Larne round out your top 5 in the pro class. Then Copeland, Erger, Fang, Bigadike, and Knight round out your top 5 for the AM class, as we're nearing halfway done with race number 2. Sun continues to set over Watkins Glen. Track temp going to start to drop a little bit more, but the racing just going to start to heat up, as everybody going to try and get as many positions as they can on the racetrack now in the latter half of this race for those all-important points, as we only have a handful of rounds remaining.
Yeah, definitely. Roland is looking very, very strong. He has a very good pace, but it's going to be very difficult for him to close down the gap on Grabowski and Kessler, both looking very, very strong. But I think we should keep an eye on Pascal Costa, because he was all the way in 20th place and now he's already up into 14th, and I think if he's lucky and good enough, which I think he is, he can even try to aim at top 5 with 15 minutes left.
Oh, one car slow way on the inside. Was that Thomas? No, it doesn't look like that. Paul Robson. Lap car getting out of the way. So Robson slow on the inside. Doesn't get any contact made with any of the lead lap cars trying to go around him. As we have a replay of what exactly happened to Paul Robson. Yeah, he definitely did just pull out of the way.
Yeah, that's a very smart move by Paul Robson, seeing all these drivers fighting for a position, letting them by without interfering with the battle. Definitely a very nice move from him.
Nick Madsen running in 6th, trying to get back by Salvatore Larne as he takes over the 5th spot overall in the pro class. Currently, Nick Madsen up 23 spots from where he originally began in this race. He started in 29th, a great drive in race number 2 for Madsen. On board with Costa, trying to get by AM class driver Michael Fang up ahead.
Yeah, what if Nick Madsen did not have all these issues this season, Joshua? He's been very, very fast all season long, but he found himself in a lot of trouble or crashes or some, let's say, not smart maneuvers that cost him the chance to fight for the title.
Pascal Costa still trying to get around Fang, goes for a little bit of a crossover move. He's gonna get there, contact! Fang and Costa. They keep it out of the wall, but now they're 3 wide. More contact as they make their way into the braking zone. Around the outside goes Bob Humphrey for Evo SR. Costa gets it back going. He's going to take over 10th spot in the pro category.
Oh boy, that looked quite intense. Definitely door-to-door action as we have a car stopped. Please
Christoph
don't move
Volens.
around. It's very difficult here for any driver to know what to do. He promptly doesn't move from there and waits for everyone to come by. That's a textbook rejoin from Christoph Volens.
Taking a look back at this battle, Madsen goes pretty far off track. That's Larney, Copeland, and Erger behind him. The only one he's racing in the pro class is Salvatore Larney. Copeland and Erger running for the AM class. They make their way out of the S's onto the back straightaway.
Salvatore Larney looking to make a pass on Madsen. You know Madsen is gonna fight for this position. He's not gonna let him go very easily. He's definitely looking forward to get a decent result out of this race too after throwing away essentially a reverse pole position. He was right in 20th place when he crashed on the last lap, so a day that could have been much easier for him without that mistake.
Through the bus stop once again for this 7-car line that's going on right now on the racetrack, all running fairly close together. It looks like these 7 cars pretty much running all within about 2 seconds of each other. So all close together, all looking to try and pass the car in front. It's just a little bit difficult to do that right now, especially when all these cars start running very close together. It gets to a point where you can't really make a pass. You just cannot get enough speed to get around the car in front.
Indeed, and what is also really important is that Copeland and Erger are both in this big group, and they need to use their head very smart, because they can't afford to make mistakes. If they are tangled in an incident, they will lose big points, and being so close in the championship with only 3 rounds left after this, it's very important to think about big pictures and not getting carried away for fighting for a 6th or 7th or 8th place.
On board with Madsen, looking back at Larney. Mag Performance SRT versus North Sim Racing as they make their way back to the back straightaway. Larney catching up, using that draft down the back straightaway. Not going to get there in time for the braking zone. You can see Madsen move slightly over to the right to try and block that spot, and he did a good job of it as Larney starts to fall back a little bit in the gap. As we take a look at a replay from Michael Fang. He's running 20th now on the racetrack, and it looks like this is going to contribute to one of the reasons. Ooh, almost gets hit by Andrew Brown, but he's able to go right on around. So Fang now 20th overall, 7th in the AM class.
A very lucky driver there. Let's see from Andrew Brown point of view. Very
Oh my!
close call there.
Madsen and Larney still battling their way now out of the boot. You can see Josh Cam up there, further up ahead on the road. They might be able to catch that Porsche Sport driver and make a fight for 4th out of this battle. Right now, it's a battle for 5th between Madsen and Larney, and Madsen still holding that spot well. No position changes at all in this line that we're continuing to take a look at. In this battle for 5th, about 2.5 seconds separate everybody in this line. And they make their way now on to turn number 1. About 9 minutes to go in this race. That's going to be about 5 laps to go in this race as well. So time's starting to run out for each of these drivers. They're going to make passes happen. They're going to have to make it soon. As we look at David Bigadike, mirror full of Dan Parmalee. You can see Luke Maxwell also back there.
Yeah, these guys are having a great battle for their amateur championship. But we go back looking at the battle for 5th and 6th with Salvatore Larnè still stuck behind Nick Madsen, as we look also at the gap between Grabowski and Kester. Grabowski opening up in the last 2 laps almost actually a full second on the German driver, showing that Grabowski is definitely one of the guys to keep an eye on for the championship. I think after this round, Joshua, it's gonna be even bigger, the gap between Grabowski and Costa. It's gonna be interesting to see also the drop weeks when are taken into account to see what's the gap between these drivers.
Martin Spalik getting passed by Christopher Kochenak around the outside. Kochenak moves his way up to 23rd overall. Not the best day for him. He started back in 18th after a 3rd place finish in race number 1. Side by side, Larnè Madsen. Larnè to the inside, grabs that spot away from Nick Madsen. Put the 127 up in the fence, but he's not done. Here comes Madsen back to the inside. Contact between the two, and into the wall goes Larnè.
Yeah, I saw it coming, Joshua. I'm not gonna lie, but Larnè squeezing Madsen entering turn 1 and Madsen being still side by side exiting. Larnè was trying to squeeze him onto the inside, but obviously Madsen had the position there, and the Italian driver still tried to close the door. It's gonna be interesting to hear from both drivers their story, and also looking now at the replay of Salvatore Larnè. So there was a door-to-door contact earlier before entering turn 1, but Madsen here definitely couldn't do much. He had the nose on the bumper of Salvatore Larnè, who closed the door a bit too much there, paying the price for it.
About 6 minutes to go here in race number 2. We've seen a lot of action going on, a lot of carnage as well, but everything going to start to settle out as they make their way to the checkered flag of race number 2. Grabowski, Kessler, Roland, Cam Christensen, your top 5 of the pro category. Leon Erger, Kev Copeland, Jack Knight, David Bigadike, and Luke Maxwell, your top 5 for the AM class as they run on the racetrack. Taking a look at Tor A. Bervin, Kev Copeland for Evo SR right behind him, and Leon Erger a little bit further up the road. Erger, Copeland, of course, the top 2 in the AM class points as of right now. And there's Erger running right behind Christensen and Madsen.
Another car around.
Maxwell around. Once again, that's about his 3rd time in race number 2 that he has been around on the racetrack. Contact, Costa into the wall.
Yeah, Costa definitely very lucky to not end his race there. Let's see the replay with the 184 of Hans Gunnar Hansen. Just lost. Close call for Bob Humphrey too. Just managed to go through. It's gonna be interesting to see if Costa can actually.
Oh, sorry, that's Bob Humphrey. Humphrey around for Evo SR.
Cursed driver, unfortunately. You said he did a great job avoiding Costa, but unfortunately, as soon as we switched cameras, he was riding for his life onto the grass. Hopefully, he will be able to continue.
Now there was Kev Copeland on the cameras. Thank goodness he was not wrecking, as he currently sits 2nd in the AM class. It was his Evo SR teammate that went spinning. Now Madsen with a mirror full of Christensen. He was able to get around Christensen to go up into the top 5 overall. And in the pro class, Knight's into the grass. I think he stopped as well.
Yeah, Knight definitely not having a good relationship with that corner, having spun 3 times there tonight during race 1 and 2. We will definitely looking forward to move on to a new circuit next week.
On board now with Roger Christensen, looking to get back by Nick Madsen for the top 5.
Andrew Brown back on pit road, probably with some damage, unless he underfueled the car, but which can actually be happening because we saw also Nick Rowland having issue at Sonoma last in the first part of the season, so you never know, but it looked like there was some damage on the Brown car.
Salvatore Larney still running on the racetrack. Obviously, had issues earlier with Nick Madsen just a few laps ago. But he is still running on the racetrack, albeit 27th overall, 16th in the pro class. So definitely not going to have the finish that he was hoping for here in race 2. Madsen keeping 5th. Christensen all over his back bumper. And it's Erger, Bervin, and Copeland in that battle. Peter Mackay battling with Martin Spalek as they make their way into the boot once again. Langeveld around the outside of David Bigadike and Parmalee. Doesn't get the pass quite made just yet. And Grabowski crosses the line, 2 laps to go. Time going to be about 10 seconds away from expiring when they make their way across the line to take the white flag on this lap. So we'll have 17 laps completed here in race 2. On board with Langeveld as he pulls away from the 2 AM class drivers behind him. 12th in the pro class, 14th overall.
Yeah, tough round for Langeveld. Starting from pit lane in race 1. Madsen day is not over because he has still plenty of cars behind him, but let's see also if Larney will have to say something about it because he's still ahead of him and he might still have something to say to him. Hopefully they will keep it clean, but Madsen losing a position now on Christiansen, who made a great pass at the bust.
Madsen right behind Roger Christensen now as Christensen gets back by. So that puts Madsen back to 6th. Here's the battle for the lead. Kessler and Grabowski. You can see that gap about 3.5 seconds. And now Kessler with a mirror full of Nick Rowland. Rowland trying to win 2 races in a row. He won race number 1 earlier on today. Looking to win race number 2, but he's got a long ways to go, and they're going to take the white flag this time by. Madsen back up the inside of Christensen.
He's not clear though.
Still side by side, up and out of the bus, up and out of the boot. Back onto this short straightaway into the final 2 corners of the racetrack. Look at Leon Erger stalking them from behind. Looking to find any way by, does not want to make it 3 wide. Wants to try and protect his AM class win, but you can see him now up the inside of Christensen. Erger looking to try and improve on his overall spot up into the top 6.
Yeah, Christiansen let Madsen by, let's say, not taking too many risks and almost conceded another position to Leon Erger as Roland will now try to make up another spot on Kessler in the probably one of the last. Ooh, Kev Copeland.
Copeland into the wall. Who's that with him? That's Hansen as well. 2 very fast cars, and Copeland was looking to finish 2nd in the AM class. He still has a bit of a buffer between 3rd place Michael Fang, but he's going to need to get that thing going very quickly. Here's Madsen back to the right side of Christensen. He takes 5th place once more. Leon Erger still waiting in the wings to try and get by both of them.
Nick Rowland moved past Kessler at the bus stop and got 2nd place as Ergen now makes a move on Christiansen and gets a P6. Great racing between these drivers. I state that tonight we had great battles, Josh, as Rowland now has to defend from Kessler, but this is probably this last corner where actually Kessler can make something happen.
Roland gonna keep P2. Kessler not able to do anything. He has 2 more corners. Will he go for any passes? Doesn't look like he will. And your points leader coming into this round, gonna extend the points lead even further. Kamil Grabowski for Evolve Racing wins race 2. Nick Roland with a 2nd place finish in race 2. He finished 1st in race 1. A great day for him. 2 amazing finishes. Kessler comes home 3rd. It'll be Josh Cam in 4th for Porsche Sport. Nick Madsen in 5th for the Pro class. Leon Erger wins the AM class and a 6th place finish overall. A great finish for that Frozen Speed Full Send Racing number 222. Copeland recovers from that spin on the final lap, comes home 2nd in the AM class. Mike Yulfang is gonna spin it off of the final corner. Can he get it back going in time? Here comes John Hopkinson. Is he gonna be able to take 2nd across the line? No, he won't. Very close, but Fang keeps 2nd AM class.
What an eventful last lap, and I have also to add that we had issues for some drivers in the final lap. Big Dike was involved in, I think, an accident with Kochanek and Parmli. I saw them earlier. If you have, they were, I saw Kochanek dropping quite fast down the timing tower. But boy, what a final few minutes of this race too. Plenty of emotions and drama to end the evening.
Leon Erger grabs the AM class win. Kamil Grabowski grabs the Pro class win. And a great day finishing out here from Watkins Glen. 2 exciting races all day long. And there's the full results now up on your screen for race number 2. And some great drivers showing their speed and some great recoveries as well from a couple of spins earlier on. Pascal Costa comes to mind, rallies back for 10th overall, punching his way into the top 10. Christensen also involved in a little bit of a spin. He will finish in 7th. Great day for a lot of cars. Peter Mackay, who barely missed out on the inverse numbers, started 21st in this race. He finishes in 18th. Hans-Gunnar Hansen, another one involved in an incident, 15th overall. And down the rest of the order, some great finishes and some finishes that are going to mix up the point standings as well, because when we came into this, it was fairly close between both the top 2 in the Pro class and the AM class point standings. And now they're going to be even different. And Alessandro, after this round, we finish out here round number 6 from Watkins Glen. 3 rounds to go. Circuit of the Americas, Road America, and Virginia International Raceway. What do these drivers need to do to make sure that they can have a chance for the championship? Because right now, Grabowski and Erger are running away with the championships in each class.
Well, I think the most important thing, as we saw today, is to keep the car out of trouble. Because especially for the Pro class, it's very important to get a lot of points every race. And with the invert grid, which usually is quite big, it's key to not get tangled in the opening lap like today happened to Pascal Costa. He still managed to get a top 10, but he could have done much better without that turn 1 incident and then some hiccups along the way. But the same also for the amateur class, because for them getting a 6th place like today for Leon Erger, it's very important because they don't get to score so many points as the pro drivers. So having so many cars between him and Copeland, who is the direct rival for the amateur championship, is very, very important. As I think we have also Leon in our interview box here. So Leon, another great weekend for you. Your championship lead is opening up even more now with this great 6th place in race 2.
Yeah, definitely. I was just talking to Kev about the race. So yeah, I was quite lucky in race 1 to get ahead of him. Tried a few moves, didn't work, so he defended really well. And then, yeah, mistake on his end, pretty unlucky. But still had good racing, pretty clean from what I could tell. And yeah, race 2 was hectic. I actually tried to get out of trouble and drop back a few places because I knew they were gonna pass Kev eventually at some point. So I just dropped back, but it was so hectic, and I'm really lucky to not crash.
Oh yeah, I was saying right before that it's a key to keep the car clean, because we've seen a lot of drivers, especially in the pro class, in this race 2, having trouble to come through the field. So keeping the car out of trouble, especially for you amateur drivers, getting the chance to score so many points is very important.
Exactly. So that's always the focus is the championship. So I try to think smart while not losing too many places. Yeah, it was, I don't know, pretty hectic race too. I'm not sure what I think about it, but quite lucky to avoid all crashes.
Well, definitely interesting is also the calendar coming up in the next 3 rounds. Next week we go to Circuit of the Americas. Kota, it's definitely a track very, very different from Watkins Glen. Have you had already the chance to try the car there?
Nope. Again, I didn't try it there. Pretty much all tracks from me are new in that car. So I'll see how it goes, but I imagine it's gonna be quite hard through the S's, and also turn 1. It's gonna be a challenge.
Well, before we let you go, Leon, anyone you would like to thank?
My team, Frozen Speed Full Send Racing, for the support, Josh for always cheering me on in chat, and my beautiful pit crew manager. Yeah, big shout out to them.
Thank you very much, and best of luck for next week. Joshua, we can also now have a chat with the other championship contender in the amateur class, Kev Copeland.
And we have Kev Copeland now here in the commentary box. Kev, welcome. Not the best day for you, especially with that last lap incident, but you still came home second in the AM class, and a fairly good finish overall, 11th overall in the championship. Now you're sitting second in the championship standings. You're 20 points going into the round. How focused are you on those points, and how do you think that 11th place in the overall finish is going to affect you going into the championship?
I think, yeah, as you say, not the best of showings for me tonight. It's good fun, really good racing tonight, and really tight. But I think Leo's just got the edge on me pace-wise. Following him tonight in both races, and him following me, I was able to keep him behind for a little bit in race 2 until there was a little bit of argy-bargy in front of me, and that just allowed him to get past. But some good racing. Annoyed with myself that I made a mistake in the first race, which put me down the field. But otherwise, a good fun night, and not a bad result points-wise. I need to have a look, but it might actually be better than my previous drop round. So yeah, not a complete disaster, but it could have been so much better.
Now, during that race, we really saw you battling a good amount of pro drivers. We saw you with a good start position, especially in race number 2. How important is that inverse really to you to get those points in race number 2? Because we saw you in the top 8 starting of race number 1, and that was turned out fairly important because you pretty much stayed there the entire race.
Yeah, I was pretty well. I think I was about 14th in race 1 until my little mistake, which put me down into 18th. But it's worked quite well for me in a couple of races now, the reverse grid. I've been quite lucky with where it's fallen. And once I'm there, I seem to do quite a bit better being in front of the main pack and less likely to get involved in an incident. But really struggled tonight when Madsen and I can't remember who it was, in race 2, they were fighting tooth and nail pretty much the whole race, and they were slowing us all up. I could definitely go faster, but I just couldn't get past them. They were fighting too hard, and it was slowing us all up and bringing the guys behind into it.
Now we head into round number 7 of the championship in about 1 week's time from Circuit of the Americas. How confident are you in the track in Austin, and are you going to be hoping to get a better finish there to hopefully get yourself in a position to make a run at the championship in the final couple of rounds of the championship?
Hate it with a passion. Don't expect to do very well there. But I'll give it my best shot.
All right, well, anyone else you'd like to thank here on Apex Racing TV before we let you go get some practice laps in it, Circuit of the Americas?
My good lady wife Lucy, who's in the other room, hopefully watching the stream, hopefully can watch the stream without looking away and thinking how bad a mood I'm going to be in when I get out of here. And the Evo SR crew for supporting me through here and cheering me on the stream and on my stream. So and you guys for the broadcast, because I'm looking forward to watching it back.
Thank you very much, Kev Copeland, your second place AM class finisher and AM class championship runner. And now joining us in the commentary booth with Alessandro Dalladone, it's Christopher Kochenek.
Yeah, Christopher, nice to have you here in the booth. How are you doing? Talk us through your races. Very eventful round here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing fine so far. Maybe a bit frustrated if you would want to say it like that. The first race was pretty uneventful in my opinion. I did a pretty good qualifying. I guess I was like 1/10 of Roland. So that was fine, third place. But the second race was, yeah, I don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah, usually race 2 is a bit more hectic. There is more chaos compared to race 1 because you have to drive all the way through these drivers that are on paper slower than you, and they definitely want to make it easier.
Yeah, it wasn't even someone who was on paper slower than me. Someone had to avoid a car and just smashed me into the barrier. But I don't think it was intentional. It was just a racing incident, but pretty frustrating because my steering was bent then, and yeah, there was nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Are you looking forward to go to the Circuit of the Americas next week, or is it one of the tracks where you don't really feel comfortable with?
I don't own the track yet,
But
so I
good
don't
luck.
know yet. But yeah, I had a good preparation for Watkins Glen this week as well, so I'm really looking forward, and I'm trying to get back the points I couldn't do because I couldn't drive the races. Yeah, so I'm trying my best to catch up the guys in front, and yeah.
But you definitely have the pace to stay with the guys up front. Hopefully in the next 3 rounds you will be even a bit more lucky. Anyone you would like to thank, Christopher?
I would like to thank my team, of course, because they always stand by my side and support me, and yeah, they really appreciate what I'm doing, and I'm trying to push as hard as I can and invest as much time as I can. I want to, maybe that's a bit, I don't know, cringe, but I want to thank my parents and my girlfriend as well, because they're always supporting me, and they really stand behind me, and they are kind of thankful for what I'm doing. Yeah, because I'm doing it a lot.
Oh yeah, that's very important. Thanks for joining us, Christopher. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Well, Joshua, definitely, as we said, a very eventful round, and the next coming will be definitely very interesting.
And we hope that all of you will join us there. Circuit of the Americas in about 1 week's time here on Apex Racing TV for round number 7 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. Thank you all for joining us here on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. For Marco Barbonera, Alessandro Dalladone, I am Joshua Lee, and we are saying good night from Watkins Glen.